Hey, it's Yuri. I hope you're having an amazing day. Today I've got a really cool video to share with you that I think you're really going to enjoy. Now this is all about showing you how to make the most, actually get the most bang for your buck out of your training. Because a lot of what people do is kind of doing things backwards as it pertains to burning fat and understanding how the body actually operates when it comes to losing fat. So if you want to lose belly fat, if you want to kind of trim down and feel more comfortable in your body, this is really important to understand, okay? So I took the liberty of doing a little bit of research and looking at what would the difference be between how many calories I would burn if I were to run a 3-hour marathon, which is a decently fast time. So I'm 170 pounds, 6'1", 35 years old, and if it takes me 3 hours to run 42 kilometers, I would burn 3,350 calories. Now, the reason I kind of give you all those parameters is that if you're 5'2", you weigh 170 pounds, it's going to be different, okay? So all of us will have a different output in terms of calories based on our body size and so forth. But the important thing to remember here is that it's roughly about that number. Now, for the sake of comparison, let's look at a Big Mac combo or a Big Mac meal at McDonald's. 1,200 calories. So for a Big Mac sandwich, the fries, and a Coke. And that's just the regular size. Now if you like to supersize the fries and supersize the Coke, you're going to add a couple more 100 calories there. So we're looking at about, roughly 1/3 of the calories in a Big Mac meal than what we would burn in a 3-hour marathon. Now that might seem, okay, well, you might be like, okay, where are you going with this? Well, where I'm going with this is that it takes about 10 minutes to eat 1,200 calories. And it takes about 3 hours to burn that number of calories by doing a cardio activity like running a marathon. So, can you start to see why we have such a problem in North America with our weight? Because it's so much easier to consume calories than it is to burn them. And if you're not, again, I'm not endorsing going to run a marathon because I think there are better uses of your time, but if you want to, totally cool. The whole idea here is to remember that unless you're training properly, you're really not burning that many calories in any given workout. And I talk about this a lot with our Fat Burning Meal Club, and the way my approach to food is really not about calories, because when you start quantifying food and looking at how many calories are in a given meal, you lose the inherent quality of what you're eating. And it totally is the same with exercise. We're so kind of bent on this idea of looking at our heart rate monitors. Oh, I've burned 500 calories in this workout. Or, the problem there is if we burn 500 calories in a workout, then we feel like we can just, replenish those calories at home. And in literally 2 seconds in a smoothie or on a given meal, we can replenish and get more of the calories than we burned. So I'd like to encourage you not to look at this kind of zero-sum, calories in, calories out type of game when you're considering how you're training. Because there are things that you can do. Weight loss is to a certain degree, calories in, calories out, but to a greater degree, what you're doing to your metabolism, which is far more important. So that's what I'd like to illustrate here. Okay, so I think hopefully that's straightforward. Hopefully that's got you thinking. Okay, so I want to make another distinction for you. So a lot of people believe that they have to do a lot of training, a lot of cardio to burn calories because they think burning calories is what's going to help them lose weight. So let me give you an example here. Have you ever gone to Las Vegas? I've been to Las Vegas a few times. I really don't like the city. I don't like the Strip that much. I'm not a huge gambler. But let me ask you this. If you go to Las Vegas, right, you're probably going to spend a bit of money, like a lot of people do, on gambling, right? Slots, blackjack. I'm not a huge gambler, so I think I may have spent $20 the most, and I actually won 10 times that amount, which is pretty cool. And then I walked away from the table because I knew it wasn't going to be good. So when you go to Vegas and you spend money on gambling, right, is that really a long-term strategy? Is that a long-term strategy to becoming wealthy? No, right? It's the quick fix. It's a very short-term, right? It's short-term, quick. It's very quantitative. We can see it right away, and that gets us excited. That gets us like, whoa! I won $200. I'm so excited. But that's just a one-time, drop in the pan. So think about that for a second. Now, I'd like you to think about the alternative, which is, maybe not as sexy, which is saving, let's just put it, let's say $1 a day, and you put that aside into a savings account of, well, let's just say 3% interest, which would be pretty generous these days. Now, I'm not going to do the math here because I can't do the math, and this is not a financial lecture, but the whole idea with compounding interest is that simply by putting a small amount aside and letting it compound over time, you end up with far more money than you would in a one kind of drop in the pan type of thing in Vegas. And obviously, if you win the jackpot in Vegas and you win several $1 million, that's totally cool. But I'd like you to think about this idea of short-term versus long-term investing with your workouts as well. Okay, so if you really want to be wealthy, the best thing you can do is think about long-term strategies to grow your wealth. You may want to consider things like real estate. If you own a piece of real estate, a property, a house, the capital gains on that house, if you live there for a couple of years, are going to be much greater than a couple $100s that you might win in a weekend of slot machines, most likely. So the same thing with your workouts. And I'd like to argue this. I'd like you to understand that cardio equals Vegas, and resistance or full body training equals long-term wealth. Okay, so by that, what I mean is with cardio, as we talked about, 3 hours running a marathon, you're going to burn roughly 3,000 calories. Awesome. But then what? Then that's gone. You wake up the next morning and you're starting with a blank slate once again. Whereas when you focus on resistance training and full body exercise, like it's a lot of muscle involved, what ends up happening there is you do things to your basal metabolic rate that keep your basal metabolic rate active. And essentially what that means is you strengthen and tone your lean muscle. And your lean muscle accounts for a great percentage of your basal metabolic rate. And that's important because of this. On any given day, the number of calories you burn, the greatest percentage of it, all of this right here, that's 70% is your basal metabolic rates. This little pie in the middle, about 10% is the thermic effect of food. So when you eat something, right, you burn a certain number of calories by digesting it. And then the last 15% or so, and obviously I'm missing 5%, which is just kind of a little bit of an anomaly in terms of like shivering, stuff like that. But the 15% here would be exercise. So even if you killed yourself every single day, the most you can really do is 15% of the total calories you burn is coming from exercise. So we want to focus on what's going to increase our basal metabolic rate and keep it as active as possible. And the key to this is right here. Because basal metabolic rate is not influenced by cardio. It's not. Cardio actually eats away at your basal metabolic rate because what it does is it's a major stress, especially if you do a lot of it. It increases cortisol, which, as you may know, is a stress hormone, which over time can eat away at your muscle, which is not a good thing. It also decreases growth hormone and decreases testosterone, which are two very important hormones for maintaining lean body mass, which becomes the most important determinant of your basal metabolic rate and thus the number of calories you burn every day. So in order to burn the calories you want and stay lean, the focus needs to be on full body resistance training. And this doesn't have to be with weights and stuff like that. You can use simple things like learning how to use your body in simple positions and learning how to hold certain contractions or activating your certain muscles to get more bang for your buck. And I'll actually share a video with you tomorrow on that. But for now, just understand that the key to long-term wealth, and when I say long-term wealth, I'm saying staying lean for as long as possible, is focusing on this. Because even if you're not burning 500 calories in this workout, what's happening is when you go to bed, when you wake up the next day, you are slowly but surely investing every single day or several times per week in the long-term future of your body. And that's the key to staying lean. So if you like this kind of stuff and you'd actually like to follow a proven system to staying lean and burning belly fat and really getting a strong core, then I'd invite you to check out our new and improved Amazing Ab Solution program. And you can learn more about that below this video. So anyways, I hope this has found you well. I hope it makes sense. And please, at the very minimum, stop doing the cardio confessional, as my buddy Craig Ballantyne likes to call it. Stop repenting your dietary sins by running yourself into the ground with cardio. Spend a little bit more time, or actually not more time, but just train smarter by doing the right type of resistance training work. And once again, if you need help with that, if you need my coaching to coach you through these workouts, just 20 minutes, 3 times per week, then I'd invite you to check out our Amazing Ab Solution program, which you can learn about at the button below this video. So that's all for today. I hope you've enjoyed this. And tomorrow I've got another cool video for you, which I'm going to show you 2 exercises and how the same exercise can be done completely differently based on how you perform it. So stay tuned for that, and I look forward to seeing you in the workouts.